Over 50,000 people died on their own soil, an absolute massacre of human life, American v. American. Civil war is a time of sadness and exclusion between a nation. Brothers fighting brothers, dads fighting sons. The Gettysburg Battle was a victory that was finally claimed for the Union, and the fighting could finally come to an end. The Gettysburg Battle was one of the most important days in all of American history. History, truthfully, would not be the same if this battle would have gone the other way. The Confederates had been making a strong push to become their own nation, and Confederate General Robert Lee pushed north in an attempt to win the Civil War for the Confederates. Countless men sacrificed their lives for our country to be the way it is and give us the freedoms that we know of today. 4.5 months later, Abraham Lincoln delivered the Gettysburg Address, showing his appreciation and honor for the soldiers who had lost their lives not only in the Battle of Gettysburg, but the Civil War as a whole. Many graves were not even dug deep enough for the soldiers to be able to rest at peace. It is noted after the war, arms and legs were seen to be sticking up from the ground. Lincoln wanted to make sure they had an honorable memorial and show how much he respected these men and the sacrifices that they made. He states how what these men died for was worth it for their country, and it is now in the new Americans' hands to uphold what all these men sacrificed their lives for. He left us with this address. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty, and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether the nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field, a final resting place for those who gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note, nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measures of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall now have died in vain, that in this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and this government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, as a president of the United States at this time, had to do something to honor these soldiers. And what he did was deliver one of the greatest speeches, if not the greatest speech in American history. The Civil War was a tragic war, only 7 years after becoming a nation, but it is something that had to happen, as freedom is very much worth fighting for, as Abraham Lincoln has stated. Addressing a topic as dense as this is troubling for anyone, but Lincoln did it with perfect execution. At the end of the speech, Lincoln mentions how it is now in the hands of the people living to stand for what these men died for. Unfortunately, looking at American culture now, it seems as if we are still fighting for freedom amongst our own people. People die for our freedoms every day, and like Lincoln said in his address, we need to honor these people and stand for what they are dying for. The American people have many freedoms, others do not, because of these brave soldiers who died for our country, but all people should be mandated to these freedoms, not just certain races, genders, or sexualities. Thank you.